Portfolio Committee on Energy, Honorable Susan Chigalani, Chairperson of the Energy Efficiency Leadership Network, Mr. Stan Pillay, CEO of the National Business Initiative, Joanne Hewitt, the CEO of BUSA, Namakalisa Machokweni, all Chief Executive Officers of various businesses that are here today, all of those of the state-owned enterprises, and the members of the business community, officials of the Department of Energy, as well as those who are working very hard behind the scenes in NBI. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is my pleasure and privilege to participate in this important gathering and address you on this very important matter of energy efficiency. In line with the 2012 International Year of Sustainable Energy for All of the UN Secretary General, this initiative is supported by the following 3 pillars: ensuring universal access to modern energy services, doubling the rate of improvement of energy efficiency, and doubling the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix. That is the targets of 30% for all this that the UN Secretary General has set himself for. But he declared this year as the year of universal access, in particular for us to focus on challenges that face those who are really under energy poverty. Ladies and gentlemen, this campaign, which South Africa is supporting, is emphasizing that we cannot discuss energy efficiency in isolation without addressing the other 2 very important aspects. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I begin again. This campaign, which South Africa is supporting, is emphasizing that we cannot discuss energy efficiency in isolation without addressing the other 2 very important aspects of access to energy and renewable energy. For this evening's function, I will concentrate only on the topic of energy efficiency. This National Business Initiative platform, with respect to energy efficiency, comes at a time as I begin with my roadshow to intensify the efforts on energy efficiency campaign drive for the country. And it is therefore appropriate that I start in this round with the private sector. As private sector, you are the largest users of energy, but also the most vulnerable from an economic point of view. You need, as much as the rest of the country, an uninterrupted, long-term, reliable supply of energy. Hence, an energy efficiency initiative is of critical importance for business. However, on the other hand, you are also well placed to help lead such a campaign, given your market access, an extensive value chain of employees, suppliers, customers, and access to the media. Yeah, access to the media, because people with money always have got access to the media. In March 2012, I joined the Minister of Trade and Industry, Honorable Dr. Rob Davis, in launching the Industrial Development Report based on a study commissioned by the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, which emphasizes industrial energy efficiency for sustainable wealth creation while capturing environmental, economic, and social dividends. Industrial energy efficiency is a key foundation for greener industry worldwide, and I believe it is time that we all walk the talk. And I've already seen some of the companies on the DVD that was played here, which is an indication that you have all subscribed or actually adhered to what UNIDO has set itself to do. And I was happy also on the occasion of the launch of the Industrial Energy Efficiency Program that was launched last year on 20th of March 2011, that many of you were there to listen to what UNIDO had to say. It already indicated that South Africa has realized since the beginning of implementation of energy efficiency about 30% savings. So it means we are starting to see results. And Madam Yawich, I saw the lingo of your previous life factoring into the statement that was made or the overview made by Mr. Stan Pillay of monitoring and reporting and verification, the MRVs, the funding, and all those, which is an indication that really the people who were at the forefront of the climate change negotiations are also at the forefront of implementing energy efficiency. So we'll see results. But I was also happy to see at the end of his input an indication about funding, which was central to the success of any program. So it means even energy efficiency in the private sector, for it to succeed, you need to put money to it. Program Director, many of you have extensive experience in your companies in advertising campaigns to market your services, products and brand names. The same principles that you use to sell new products through researching and marketing can be used to promote, market and implement the concept of energy efficiency to improve your brand and corporate reputation. This becomes necessary for you to remain competitive, not only in the local market, but also internationally, where there is an increasing drive towards a low carbon economy, which is also rapidly expanding into the emerging markets. Addressing you today as the Energy Efficiency Leadership Network, our common campaign goal is, and simple, save energy and use less by manufacturing or producing more. In order to make the principle of saving energy a way of living, government and ESCOM have launched the 49M campaign to make energy efficiency more relevant to the role we are expected to play as individuals or citizens of the country. At this point, I must ask the individuals, not the CEOs in this meeting, or the chairs of major corporates that are here today. How many of you actually practice energy efficiency in your own homes? Let us start with the most simple, basic. Solar water heating. How many of you have got solar water heaters? I am embarrassed. It's as if there was an indication that we need one per table. Joanne, that is one of your targets. Let us make sure that these CEOs can actually do that which they are talking about. Start in your own households. The Deputy President launched this campaign on the 18th of March 2011 actually. And I would believe that by now, many of you would have really retrofitted your own homes, because many of you would in any way qualify for the ESCOM's rebate program. And it's massive, let me tell you. I mean, if you can save about 50% on your total installation, but also on your own consumption. I'm saying this from experience. I've got a solar water heater, and I know that my bill went 50%. The mayor of Salt Lake was complaining because they used to rob me. Now, so I think it is important that we make it possible that as individual citizens of this country, we participate in this campaign and make it a success. Our experience of load shedding in 2008-2009 confirms that the fact that we cannot afford to be faced with a similar experience in the future, and the damage it has caused our economy and reputation of our businesses to not deliver on promised deliveries. I'm sure many of you would say it is a contradiction in terms for a generating company like ESCOM to be equally subscribing to energy efficiency. But it is important in the interest of the country, because ESCOM is our utility company. So it is important that you realize their motivation is not necessarily just making profits in terms of the money that they will be generating in terms of what you will be consuming, as opposed to what our mayors and our municipalities are doing, who are resisting energy efficiency because they believe that the cash flow is actually going down. But I think it is important that we realize that all of us have got a responsibility to make sure that we can then subscribe to this energy efficiency. Let me tell you an experience I had in 2008. I never forget that experience because I was passing, that time it was in my previous life in the other parts of the country where we've got only 2% of the population and the best part of the sun. I was passing through Gauteng. You know, when you come to Gauteng and you come from places like where I came from, you have to do something, and it's called retail therapy. I can't believe this. I don't touch this thing, and he says it goes down because I speak into it. So I'm supposed to speak away from it. Okay, so I was saying that I had to buy a pair of shoes, and it so happened that that day was the day that the lights went off in center. And this poor lady in that shop was like, "Ma'am, I can't lose this sale. We have to do something. I will write your receipt by hand. Please, please." I had to use my own cell phone light because I realized that this poor woman probably needs the commission from the sale. So let me just do a little bit of my own social responsibility and give her the sale so that she can get a commission. And I said, I don't want to experience that anymore because it was painful to see what happened because people are walking out of the shop and the shop cannot operate because the lights went off. We don't want to see that happening again. So it is our responsibility in the way in which we do business to make it possible that we don't realize load shedding. Energy efficiency is not only about saving energy, but also to decrease our carbon emissions and carbon footprint as a country, but also as a business. In this regard, I must say, I was impressed in going through the carbon disclosure report that NBI shared with me in 2010. The steps are indeed commendable. It is interesting for me that this contribution made by business was done without an obligatory act in place. And I think it is important that we really appreciate the fact that there was no law that says you have to do this. And it means we can do it if given the opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, in the latest Global Competitiveness Report released by the World Economic Forum, South Africa is ranked at 52 out of 144 countries, remaining the highest ranked country in sub-Saharan Africa and the third place among the BRICS economies. For a developing economy such as South Africa, we need to build on our economic ranking while striving to take into account the social and environmental impacts on the way we do business and enhance economic prosperity as pillars of sustainable development. Following the launch of the Energy Efficiency Leadership Network at COP17, and I want to really appreciate and applaud you as South African business for having subscribed to this leadership network, because we believe that it is important that we lead by example. I'm pleased to hear that major corporations have taken the lead in making a public pledge to a continuous improvement towards energy efficiency. And I just want to say, the fact that I saw it on DVD, not just hearing about it, is an indication of the pledges in actual practice. So I just want to say congratulations and good luck, and we would want to see more of our companies doing the same. You would remember that last year with the launch on the 7th of December, I did indicate that it was painful when we were on the 11th of March 2011 in the UK with the president, and the president is taken to a supermarket and told that this is an energy efficient supermarket. And we're working behind the president, and he keep on saying, Tomazan, so I think it is important that we also, and I said it last year, that we actually must give also our president an opportunity to see some of these things. I was just telling this gentleman from Philips that the cook stoves initiative, which is part of the Sustainable Energy for All program, is one of those initiatives that the president actually saw in practice. And the president has got that stove that operates on a minimalistic type of fuel, this thing. So I think it is important that we subject, and when we give it an opportunity, even these DPTs, let us just pile them. When the president is relaxing at Uganda, he watches these things. He entertains himself with these things. And one thing I know about my president is that when he's got a message in his head, he runs with it. I'm sure Alstom will tell you. Is Alstom on the list here? Alstom will tell you about CCS and how the president tells CCS because of that demonstration that they had at COP17. Just seeing it there, from then on, he runs with it. You give the president a platform and say, protect your 40,000 or 40 billion tons of coal reserves and speak about clean energy. he tells you CCS, and he explains it from the bottom to the last part without even having to look at notes. So I just want to say to you, it is important that we share and entertain our leadership with some of these things. Because sometimes you give these big books and whatever. When do we have time to read those books? So I think it is important that we do that. Program Director, our expectation as government is that business leaders should implement energy management systems that will ensure appropriate leadership and championing of energy efficient processes, effecting behavioral change in your operations and among your staff across all value chains, of investing in energy efficient product development. We also anticipate that this will require resource allocation and action plans that are measurable in terms of what improvements need to be undertaken or structural adjustments that needs to be made. I'm pleased to learn from NBI that some companies are leading the way in taking a more holistic approach to integrate their focus on energy with carbon management, water management, and restructuring their businesses accordingly, while others have seen the opportunities for the creation of new business development and innovation. Our expectation is also that you will take advantage of the skills development opportunities that are offered through the Energy Efficiency Leadership Network and initiatives that government is embarking on, such as the Industrial Energy Efficiency Project, which is a joint initiative of the Department of Energy, DTI, and UNIDO. In addition to this, the department has started with the establishment of an energy efficiency target monitoring system project through the support from the Swiss Development Corporation. We appreciate the continuous support we receive from our international partners to help us ensure that we can monitor the efforts and we make and realize the benefits. I've also taken note of Exaro supporting the Energy Efficiency Research Chair of the Energy Efficiency Hub at the University of Pretoria with Sanedi, which Sanedi is part of. I mentioned companies that make me understand what they are doing. Last time when we had an NBI, I remember we spoke about the guys who smile all the way to the bank when we carry the tap because of the coal issues. Today I spoke about coal and CCS because the president has seen what Alstom is showing them, but also we're saying what Exaro is doing. So I think it is important that we get to know what each company is doing. We might not be mentioning you because we don't know. It's best for us to know what you are doing as an investment in some of the programs that we have developed in some of the projects. So I think it is important that we do that. Saneti will give us the reports about that, and from other initiatives, I know Lorraine will definitely give us the report. It is very important that we invest adequately on research and development so that we can improve our processes continuously. It will be difficult to address the barriers or challenges around technological change without increasing our R&D investment and enhancing our innovation activity. These efforts of strengthening the work of Saneti on its mandate as the country's National Energy Development Institute are very important. I'm aware that there is a lot that is happening in your space on energy efficiency, and I urge you, like I said earlier on, to share with us the good work that you are doing. Some of the work we've seen on TVT, but we would want to see more. Joanne, can we get to hear more from the companies? What is it that they are doing? Ladies and gentlemen, government is in continuous engagement and discussions with industry through yourselves, through BUSA, through NETLEC, and other stakeholders on a number of policy issues and regulations to enhance and direct the implementation of energy efficiency measures, which also resulted in the new growth path discussions that led to the signing of several accords such as the Green Economy Accord, the Local Procurement Accord, and the National Skills Development Accord. I want to request the National Business Initiative through its members to be more active in the implementation of these accords, especially the Green Economy Accord, in particular because it speaks to issues of energy efficiency. I think it is important that we make it possible that these accords become productive and they can benefit the people of South Africa, because we believe that these accords are not just documents, they are intended for us to benefit, in particular creating the necessary space for growth so that we can create the necessary jobs. In line with this, I want to announce that the Department of Energy is in the process of obtaining Cabinet's approval to make public the second review of the National Energy Efficiency Strategy for comments However, I must concede that at times, some of these engagements have been very robust, lengthy, and have resulted in delays in the promulgation of these policies. As at times, we had to go back to the drawing table in order to remain relevant, realistic, and practical. And Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, I am not saying that we don't want engagements. We are actually saying that in most instances, some of these public engagements results in us having to go back to actually factor in some of the inputs. And that would also delay the timelines that we have set ourselves, so that we could understand that the process of public engagement is just not for show, but to make sure that public stakeholders can make necessary input. I must say it is better to have a robust engagement during the stakeholder consultation process and to reach consensus, although on a longer time frame than anticipated. But I believe it will ensure ease of enforcement and implementation. You would remember, Lorraine, with the IRP, the Deputy President even had to say, we must hurry along slowly, but take along everybody. Because business was the one that said, you are too fast. Give us time to go through your assumptions and be convinced that these are the assumptions that we can actually adhere to and can believe and can be able to cost and look at properly and actually believe your own statements. And I would want to say it was good for us to delay that instrument called the Integrated Resource Plan, because ultimately when it was released, it was a product that many actually felt part of. And I think it is important that really we applaud ourselves with that particular plan. Program Director, we are at a point where we can now gazette the regulations on the income tax allowance of the energy efficiency savings, the Section 12L, which addresses tax allowance aimed at large investments for upgrades, expansions of new facilities that exceed 30 million and 200 million respectively. I'm happy to give you progress that both my colleagues, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Rob Davis, and the Minister of Finance, Minister Pravin Gordhan, have concurred with me to publish these regulations, and we are awaiting the state law advisor regarding this final draft. Once again, I appreciate the contribution of business through NBI in shaping these two above-mentioned documents. We understand that policy measures give direction and confidence to the market in their own decision-making processes. It is the responsibility of government to create the certainty so that business is able to put together their short, medium, and long-term plans as part of regular planning. I believe that a lot more can be achieved if we continue to work together as partners and see the benefit of a voluntary initiative such as the Energy Efficiency Leadership Network, in addition to a collective effort which may well allow companies to aim for greater ambitions than those of basic requirements. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to emphasize that as a leading developing economy, we have obligations to measure ourselves against other countries. Hence, we allow ourselves to be measured through international benchmarking in terms of global agreements and commitments. At the same time, we have to keep the lights burning while promoting efficiency. Focus our efforts on developing new and green sectors of our economy, provide stimulus that will support our socio-economic imperatives such as job creation, deal with youth unemployment, alleviate poverty, and skills development, amongst others. Let us address these issues in an integrated way in order to measure and verify our progress at the national scale. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I want to take this opportunity to thank the National Business Initiative for collaborating on the establishment of this network, to thank the companies who recognize the need to take the lead and set the tone for other companies and even government institutions to follow in implementing some of these initiatives. I would like to affirm government's commitment in working with you towards this common goal. I wish you all the best in this initiative, and I look forward to a continuous future engagement to share both your success stories and challenges. Thank you very much.